Hi there. Better late than absolutely never, right? This is Coach MK for my favorite time of the week. Hopefully, it's your favorite too. Ask Away with Coach MK, where I answer all the questions that are burning, festering in the hearts and minds of my runners all week long. And I say fester because, oh my God, this air quality, at least in Denver, it is terrible. Absolutely terrible. I tried to go out this morning for what I would hope would be a run. My first run in 3 days, as a matter of fact. And that did not happen because of reasons that I'll talk a little bit about later. But just wanted to let you know, if you are off plan right now, you're still right on time and right on schedule. You know why? August sucks. August, we are coming to an end. School is hopefully starting for most of you as we get ready for Labor Day weekend. Labor Day weekend during COVID. Just bear in mind, even in a good year, this is still a bad month. This is a month where the plans that we make fall to the wayside, the month where people start to get really worried because the fall race now looms ahead of them and it's kind of real. There's not that much time left. They're thinking they're a little bit behind. They weren't where they hoped to be at the beginning of the cycle. There's something about August that sets perspective for both positive and just this straight up confusing. It's very rarely what we expect it to be because it's not something we think about until we get there year after year after year. When we think about it, most people sign up for fall races in the spring, either right after their spring race or trying to mitigate whatever damage they think they might do to their bodies in the summer. Very rarely is it done with a very specific plan with a bigger goal or a bigger picture in mind. It just becomes this arbitrary thing, and then every run becomes the most important run ever because, frankly, you're making it up as you go along. And I say that again lovingly. I say this as a person who's been coaching for a while. The same thing happens every year. August is really tough for me as a coach because I have to assure everyone that they are by no means behind, that there is not actually a horse that they could fall off of. And if they were, that would hurt a whole lot more than missing a couple runs on a marathon training plan for a race they don't really care about anyway. So I tell you that to tell you this, the air sucks. If you have not been running this week, that isn't called winning at life. Please don't worry about it too much. This isn't a year where a whole lot of us are going to have races in the fall. Anyway, the name of the game right now is sanity maintenance. And if the run or the idea of a run is not providing that for you, do something else and then talk about it. There is something beautiful about just saying no and playing hooky. I know that I love playing hooky. There's sometimes when I get really overwhelmed or I get really stressed out and then I'm like, nope, I'm going to play Pokemon. Nope. I'm going to play with my kids. Nope. Let's fill up the pool in the backyard. That sounds great. And those are the moments, unfortunately, when I'm supposed to be doing things like doing the exercises for rebuild. Maintain's ready to go. The links are up. Everything's going to be going out. I've got to finalize the rebuild exercises, and that's going to be happening tonight along with Runner Interrupted. It'll be more on time in September than it was in August. Sorry, you guys. There's just been a lot going on and a whole lot of overwhelm that caused some days for me to just become nope. So if you're there too, cool. Remember this. You're by no means behind. You're right where you need to be. Please honor your body and honor your spirit and show yourself the same compassion you would show other people. Speaking of compassion, before we even get into the weekly wins, I want to bring one of you ladies, one of my clients, this has been a long day, I'm not kidding, one of my clients on, someone that you know, a name you would have seen in the Facebook groups a lot. She inspires the bejesus out of me, and I would like to take a moment to celebrate how far she has come and maybe her story will give you a little perspective, not just on where you've been, but where you're going. As I add to the stream, Christine.
Hi.
Hey, Christine, thank you for joining us. While I type your name, why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name's Christine. And what do you want me to include?
What do you think is important? What do you want people to know? I mean, if you've been in these run groups for now almost 2 years, you're a familiar name, but not necessarily a face. I know for me, I know people's names, I know their stories, and I see their face for the first time and hear their voice, and I'm like, whoa.
Okay, sure. I'm in rebuild, and I have been, I guess, for about 2 years. And I joined it after quite a while off of running. Well, in September, it'll be 3 years that I had stopped running. And so for really just an injury that has remained vague, but I've learned how to deal with and kind of moved on from to some extent.
Because when we first started
vague enough? I know it's vague enough, but I feel like it's all vague. So
it is when it comes to anything. As much as we know about the human body, we sure can stop pain in its tracks. but we can't really prevent it in ways that are helpful. I think that's safe to say, especially when it comes. I mean, God knows I laid in bed with nerve damage, we thought, for 2 years. And that was terrible. So when we first started together, it was what, January maybe of 2018?
Yes.
Okay. And you thought that you would be ready for
maybe 2019. Well, I think
2019, you're correct.
I think it was 2019.
Yeah, because Violet was already born. Everything.
Yes.
Like life before Violet. Violet, it's just how I relate. So yeah, January 2019. So you were coming back from injury at that point too. And I remember being like, I want to really guide you through this because, coming back from injury is hard. So this is the hardest sales pitch that I can make for people is like runner interrupted, because no one wants to pay for a training plan or a coach when they're injured. But I'm like, that's really when you need one the most, when you're going through your rehab, through your recovery, through whatever it is that you're going through. And as you're making that transition back, that's when I can be the most impactful, but I never get to work with anybody then. So I remember reaching out to you initially saying, I want you to help me prove the concept on this program I want to open. Here's what it is. And then we're going to kind of ease you into, and you really were the first to try Rebuild, and you've been doing it for 3 months before I would release the first beta form of it. So yeah, thank you for being first.
Yeah. I mean, I think it worked out really well. And I think you're right. It is hard to not have a plan that works for you, because I kind of went to physical therapy, and I can summarize my injury a little bit different. I mean, a little bit better. It's like my obturator nerve gets, I don't know if it's too tight. It gets bothered by many different things. And it's kind of like a regular physical therapist says, you need to see a pelvic floor physical therapist. The pelvic floor physical therapists are the most helpful, but they're like, well, this isn't actually a pelvic floor problem. And so it kind of got bounced around, I feel like. But throughout all of that, it is hard to not be able to do any program and have all of them be too hard, even when they don't look hard at all. But Rebuild did work. So.
And you're still here, and I know that I've been like holding my breath, kind of watching from afar, even on the days when I don't get to respond. I'm like, that was a good day. And this is another good day. You've really turned a corner these past 6 weeks. It feels
Things
like
are really going well. I really think since like April or May. I think the pandemic has everything else going poorly, but this running is all going really well.
That's fantastic. I mean, something good has to come out of this. I keep saying that over and over. Like we need the light at the end of this tunnel. Because initially when you went into it, again, thinking like it'd be runner interrupted for a month or two, and then because people keep asking me, well, how long? Why don't you sell runner interrupted as a package or sell this as? And I'm like, because you don't know. You never know. I did not think my recovery from Violet would take 18 months, and no one could have convinced me, even if they had known that was true. How many people have had like even dental surgery and they're like, we need you to take a week off, and you secretly low key take like 2. You'd rather almost like, or a friend of mine just had a hysterectomy, and they were like, you're going to have to stay in bed. This is a full hysterectomy. This is a major surgery. We took out like innards, lots of them. You're going to need to be in bed for 8 weeks. And she went for a run maybe a week later and tore some stitches. And we've been not laughing at her, but sort of like, because we get it. We've all been that person. We've all done that. None of us really want to be in bed for 8 weeks. I completely get it. But then if we can't accept 8 weeks, 18 months. So your comeback has been forward motion, I would definitely say. There's been progress that's been hard to see in the moment. But can you talk a little bit about sort of what you expected versus what happened? And then we can talk a little bit about sort of how you kept your head in the game throughout. Because it has been, no one has worked harder or longer, more tenaciously than you have.
Yeah, I think in the beginning, I did think it was going to be faster. And in the beginning, they told me I had like a torn meniscus in my knee, and that was the problem. But once we figured out that wasn't the problem, I did think it was going to be faster. I wouldn't have said it would be this long. And a lot of people said, why don't you stop? And not even meanly. I don't mean like, some people did say like, this is crazy. Why don't you stop? Other people are like, you've done it for so long. And I just figured, and this sounds crazy, but like, I would hate to be like 90 years old and be like, man, I should have really kept trying. What if it would have eventually worked out? And so for whatever reason, that small bit that like, maybe it will work out, it did keep me going, even though it's a crazy way to look at it, I think.
I don't think it's
but
crazy.
I would hate to miss the chance. If I was going to die trying, you know, I was going to keep doing it. I even now, I mean, I think, how long have I been doing the lane 1 workouts? A long time.
Mm-hmm.
Almost a year, probably, before I tried lane 2.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe a whole year, probably longer than that. And I think like the switch to lane 2 has been, you know, it just seems like in the group, it's like, hey, I'm going to switch over to lane 2. And I don't think it's that easy. I think in July, I went full force, like all lane 2 workouts and the strength, and like, it was too much. Like I should have only done the Monday, Wednesday workouts lane 2 and not done Saturday yet, or not added in the strength. Like it was too much at one time. So, and I thought that would be a quick, you know what I mean? Like, hey, I'm going to do lane 2 and that's that. And that was another surprise, that like, okay, it's going to take a while to work into that.
To me, the most tremendous change, though, was your approach to it. And again, I know when I train, I don't sell one-on-one training. I take one-on-one clients on, I train our sponsored athletes one-on-one. And a few special cases that I think might have either an interest that could apply to everyone. And you were absolutely one of those. I was like, this is going to take longer than I think she thinks it will. But if we can find something that works for her, if I can get this to happen, then I can make it happen for everybody. And the thing that happened for you that I wanted, this is why I wanted to bring you on, the thing I don't think you've given yourself credit for. I tell everybody to log every workout, especially my one-on-one clients. If you don't write anything in the post-activity training comments, then I can't do my job. Like, there's almost no point, because that is more important than any numerical data that I can see. By the time a problem shows up in the numbers, it's too late. It's already there. I can catch them before they appear in the training logs. So, but a lot of people are like, well, I don't see how this is helpful. And that has not been you. But if you go back and kind of just pick some random dates and look in each month, you went from, in the beginning, a place of frustration with yourself, being, oh, this didn't work. This isn't working out, or sort of like blaming yourself and your body and your choices, to slowly over time, right before you got ready to go into lane 2, you'd had a good 3 or 4 solid months of, here was the problem. I'm going to stop listening to everybody, and I'm just going to start tuning into my own body. All of this work with other people has taken up a lot of time, and no one can feel my body but me. So, which is not to say everybody fire your doctor, not the case at all. But you knew something wasn't working and people weren't listening to you. So you started sort of really taking your training into your own hands. I'm going to remove these 2 workouts and do this instead, because I'm pretty sure that this is what triggered me yesterday. All right. I sat in the car for 9 hours a day, driving all the way to my in-laws' house on one of the long trips that you took with your family. You're really brave for that. And then saying, well, since I've been sitting then I know this is going to happen tomorrow, so I'm going to do this instead. And you really all of a sudden went from a place of what felt like true helplessness, which again is, I really identify with, because I've been there too, and I've been there recently. But you went from there to a very strong, in my opinion, sense of control over what you do and what your body needs, and how to respond to pain whenever it presents.
I think you're right, but the pandemic did help with that, because you have said to me for a long time, maybe you need a break from physical therapy. Maybe you should try a break. And I was so hesitant to do it. But then that last physical therapist I was seeing stopped working out. And then it was the pandemic. And so I stopped, everything closed. And it was like, there wasn't any choice but to figure it out on my own. And it has worked out really well. But I don't know if I would have done it if I wasn't forced to do it.
I completely get it. And I'm never going to be that person, because, like, get rid of the medical help. But it had,
you said it nicely. I don't,
And there comes a point when the tool isn't working anymore. It becomes the obstacle instead of the way. So to me, when I look at all of this, what you're coming out with now is a greater sense of confidence. Like, you don't use question marks anymore. And on the days when I'm too caught up bailing, either, not running at all, but bailing people out of jail downtown, or helping kids with like online things that never work or never coordinate appropriately. Like, I've got 3 in school now, so you can imagine this.
No, it's a lot. 3 is a lot to manage.
If I'd gone into being like, I'm going to homeschool, I probably would not have had 4. It would have been a very different life. But anyway, but even on the days when I don't get back to you right away, or even in the timely manner that I would like to see how you've gone from almost like a question mark to statements over and over. This is, and this was, and this worked, and this didn't, and I was right. Really, that has been such a cool thing to watch. And I really want to give you credit for that, and hope that you take that credit too.
Well, thank you. Because no one, like, I have to say, it is true. You probably care the most of anyone. Like, I'm so pleased with how these workouts are going. I'm like waiting for someone to give me a big reward. And like, I don't think anyone cares, you know, like it's not a big deal to anyone, but I have worked really hard for a really long time.
You have, and I know this sounds really silly and kind of dramatic, but like the day that you had a breakthrough and you were like, I've completed this full week, and I was not, my BlackBerry had like it had been pepper sprayed and had been hit with a couple pepper, and the keys weren't working, so I couldn't respond, and I couldn't even use my anyway, my phone was a disaster. And I couldn't get anything to you, and I was coming home at night not able to sit at my computer. But I remember I was standing outside the Denver jail, and I screamed, which is a bad idea, outside the Denver jail. And I've got a video of that I was going to wait and show you later, because I was like, I'm sure she thinks I've abandoned her, and the opposite is true.
No, it's fine. I mean, you didn't abandon me. I mean, I had to think more on my own, but I mean, it worked out. It was good.
Yeah. And everybody in Denver already knows about your training, or everybody that was around me that morning knows about your training now and who you are. So I thought we might as well put you literally in front of everybody.
No problem.
In the fitness protection world. So any tips for anybody else who's going through a journey similar to yours? I know a lot of people get frustrated and give up a few weeks in, which is tempting to do. Well, I'm not really using this. I'm not really doing it. So I'm going to go do this on my own. I feel like we just made a statement for doing things on your own, but at the same time, well,
I mean, I still did all the workouts. Like, I really, when you talk on the podcast and I've listened, and you know, there are people who don't just do all the workouts, and I have really, like, that is not me. I almost always do exactly what's written or close to it. But I think actually something that took me a long time to be okay with when I started working with you was all the walking. It was so much walking. But I really think it helped so much. So I think if someone's having that hard of a time, just do it all walking and stick with it and add it on. And I mean, you had me walking like 2 hours on Saturday mornings. It was so much walking, and it was winter and cold. I mean, it was, you know, like I would be all bundled up with all my warmest clothes and go out and just walk. But I really think that being okay with that, I just think the walking really helped more than I ever would have thought it would have.
It's amazing what we like to forget. Even I forget sometimes that walking is a workout. Like, motion is something to be totally celebrated. Any more tips for the people who are having a rough time right now? How would you sort of get yourself pumped up to do a 2-hour walk on a cold day, for example? Or did you just say, I don't need to be pumped up?
Pretty much if it's written down, I just do it. But I think maybe think of the future and looking back. Like, I don't know. Because I used to swim. That was really my first thing I love to do, probably more than running, even though I don't do it at all now. And, you know, when I would lifeguard back in high school and college, and these like 90-year-old women would like come down to the pool and like slowly swim their laps to the end and back. And I would think, oh, I want to be like that. When I'm 90, I'm going to come down to the pool early in the morning and like do my couple of laps. And so I just think of that with the running. Like I said, like, you know, I wouldn't want to get to be that old and then think, oh, maybe I could have done it if I had just kept working at it.
Absolutely. So, I know for me, that was the same way coming back when things, I'm like, if I don't do everything, then I can't quit. I can't stop until I've said, I have absolutely done everything, because I will always feel awkward about it. We are so ingrained we're so conditioned to not give up and never quit and laser light focus. And sometimes it's like, maybe it can be a soft light as opposed to a laser focus, and just keep shining. And your light never dwindled, and I couldn't be happier.
Well, we'll see. Maybe we'll keep it up for September.
I hope so. And we're going to have September up really soon, replete with all the exercises later tonight. Thank you for coming and saying hi.
Well, thank you. Have a good night.
You're the best. You too. Awesome. So that was Christine Lancaster in our Rebuild program, talking a little bit about her road to recovery, which started with Runner Interrupted in January of 2019. She's been in lane one. She would stay in lane one of Rebuild for almost a year before finally moving to lane two. It's never easy to predict how long it will take for a person to move, transition from program to program. What we try to do is give you all the tools that you need to make the best choices possible. Biggest tool, me. That's right. I'm a tool. Need that on a t-shirt. Coach MK is a tool. Yes. Love that. I never know what's going to come out of my mouth until I say it. Yay, me. But the whole idea here is we have programs for every stage of a runner's journey. Whether you are a runner interrupted, you are rebuilding your runner's body or the running habit itself, or if you have a modicum of fitness that you'd like to maintain, we have programs for you that put your training in your hands and give you a bit of guidance and the ability to DIY your own training as much as humanly possible. All of that's easier when you have a person to answer questions whenever they arise at least once a week, and a community of people to support you every step of the way. Here we go. Now we're going to move on to some other weekly wins now that we've celebrated Christine's big win a little bit. So in build, JJ Jensen managed the longest run despite the extreme heat. And I tell you, that is a really big deal. It has been hot here. The air quality has been terrible. If you're able to be out there for a long time, yay you. I've been capping it hard at an hour outside. And there have been a couple of days this week I couldn't go outside at all. And rebuild, Kristen Fraser's knee is improving and she is slowly working back into movement. Yay, Kristen. I know that's how frustrating that is, especially during a pandemic when everybody else is inside with you. Congratulations. Kim Lachane got some great movement in this week despite some health setbacks. Really glad you were able to get some movement in. You probably got more than I did, to be honest with you. And maintain, Daniel Fatlin has officially reached the running gear. Requires its own suitcase level of runner. Congratulations, Daniel. If you are watching right now, please give us links or pictures. What have you purchased that requires a suitcase, and is your suitcase bigger than mine? Hard to tell. I got a whole bunch of stuff and mobility tools, especially under the foot of my bed, and my kids like to play with them. And it is a fun look when people come into my home, or they walk into my office, or they walk into our living room after I've been doing a mobility session. It's like, what's all that? I'm like, running stuff. You wouldn't understand. I'm sure chicks dig it. Tell us all about yours. So Karina Terry had a great in-person half marathon. Yay! So Southern Utah, I believe you said, Karina, right? Where a lot of these smaller races are still able to go on, either because of where they are or because they're small enough they're able to practice social distancing. I'm glad you're able to find one, Karina. Show us pictures and tell us all about it. And congratulations. From Aaron Nason, I can't even call it a weekly win, but more of a life win. My little guy, who is 10, has low muscle tone and some delays. He is the best, though. When he was teeny tiny, I was so worried about whether or not he would ever walk, talk, or do anything neurotypical. He is amazing now at a balance bike. One of the pluses of this quarantine is that we discovered he loves riding his bike on trails, and he's actually pretty good at the easy trails. That's amazing. I have a hard time keeping up with him when I'm walking. Well, we did our first run together and went 2.5 miles on the trails and have done it a few times since. I wasn't sure if we would ever be able to actively share this activity together. He was a champ at riding in the stroller, and it wasn't the fastest and it wasn't the furthest, but it was definitely the best run I've ever done. Congratulations. As a non-neuronormative person, I am thrilled for you. I really am. I'm a non-neuronormative person parenting a non-neuronormative child. We like to call them virgies because they're neurodivergent. My son is on the spectrum, and I know exactly how you feel. And that, I don't even have words. That's huge. That's amazing. I am thrilled. I'm thrilled that you're able to have that, and I hope you have many, 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 many. This is the first of many, many, many more runs. Okay, moving on to the questions. Build. How do I know when it's time to switch programs? I've been in build since May, and although I've downloaded the rebuild plan the last 2 months, I feel like I may be ready for a little more work, but I'm not sure if I'm quite ready for maintain. So what I usually tell people is the difference between week 4, lane 2 of rebuild and week 1 of maintain, minimal. The difference between lane 2, week 4 of rebuild and week 4 of maintain is huge. My recommendation, your first month in maintain, just do week 1 over and over. And maybe add a few more minutes each week to the long run. So the second month, we can then do 2 weeks of week 1 and 2 weeks of week 2. Then month 3, try doing it as written, but keeping the long runs. Maybe we just cut them down a bit. Don't make them as long as written, but the weekday stuff you should be fine doing. And that's how I would segue into it if I were you. But you're ready when you feel like you're ready. And it sounds like you want a little bit more work. Sounds like you're ready to me. Yay! And by the way, this is the other brilliant thing about guided DIY. If you're ready for more work and you want more work and you get there and you're like, nope, 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 it's a really easy change to make. That you've got the power in your fingertips. We just download the brand new plan, unapply one plan, reapply the next one, and you're good to go. And you can go ahead and be a member of both Facebook communities. We're not going to kick you out. We're not keeping score or tally. We let you be wherever it is you want to be. And again, because this is all about you getting what you need to get, we put it in front of you and you can grab whatever you need, take what you want and leave the rest. It's not a mandate of fitness protection for $1 a day that you show up, but rather a promise that we will, and we're going to give you all the options that you need. So it sounds like you're not quite getting what you need with Rebuild. Why not in September, go ahead and give Maintain a try at the end of week 1. If that worked, and you want to do it again, cool. Or you can alternate. Another option is that you can alternate week 1 of Maintain, week 4, lane 2 of Rebuild. And then week 1 of Maintain again, week 4 of lane 2 of Rebuild, etc. That's another possibility. The possibilities are infinite. Let's find a combination that works for you. But if you want a little more, let's get a little more. I've gone back to square one, or maybe square -37 fitness-wise over the course of the pandemic. You and me both. Do you know how sore I was after I did the demonstrations for Maintain for September? I was like, I need to get back into the habit of doing strength. Oops. I was pretty strong. Days are long gone. And I needed a day to regroup to finish Rebuild. That's honestly why they're not all done. That, and it's been hard finding a time when the kids are not directly underneath my feet because, yay, COVID, they're always there underneath my feet. So I'm ready to rebuild, but the idea of running for 30 minutes nonstop right now is intimidating. Do you have any suggestions for how to build from a minute or 2 of running and lots of running back to a 30-minute easy effort? Honestly, it's mostly mental because remember, it's not about the time, it's about the intensity. So if you have lost as much fitness as you claim to have lost, then your heart rate's going to skyrocket when you set out again, even at a pace that you think would have been maddeningly slow 2 or 3 months ago. So to that end, I would say give yourself a good 5 to 10 minutes walking warm up, and then try to find where 140 is for you right now. I promise, and start on the conservative side. It's going to be whatever. So if you say you think it's going to be a 13-minute mile, start with 15. And you'll find that though it doesn't necessarily feel natural to go that much more slowly, because remember, running more slowly than you want to go in any given moment is the hardest thing a runner will ever do. And you're about to be there while you start to figure out where you are right now in this, not a new body, but it's a different feel. And until that feel becomes normalized to you, we're just going to need to go nice and slow and not overthink it too much. If I were you, what I would start doing, do that 5 to 10 minutes walking warm up, then just start jogging. And by jogging, I mean trying to, no music, like just take music out, take the headphones off for a bit because you really got to tune into your body for this. And with that, try to match your breathing with your footfalls. See, like I did just there, there is an adjustment. Each time your foot strikes the ground, we want to have 4 steps on the inhale, 4 steps on the exhale. If you're getting less than 4 steps to an inhale, you need to slow it down for sure. There's no way what you're doing is easy effort. By definition, you're going harder than that. 3 to 1 is usually a tempo type of run, and 2 to 1 is a track interval. And then 1 to 1 is just the locomotive breathing. That's dead sprinting. So with that, I would just try to find that 4 steps on the inhale, 4 steps on the exhale, until you just can't handle it anymore. And then look down and see where your heart rate is, and then adjust the pace accordingly. Stop and walk whenever you need to, but rather than being dictated by your watch and time intervals, and I know this is an answer people don't like, I really want you to tune into your body. Pay attention to your breathing. It ends up sucking a lot more energy and a lot more time than you think it will because it is so enraging. Again, I say that lovingly as someone who said to do this recently. It'll actually keep you very well distracted for 30 minutes. Try that. So aim for 10 minutes of warming up, 10 minutes of trying to find 140, and then 10 minutes of walking and cursing at me to cool down. Tell us how that goes, and then circle back with us next week. So rather than trying to like artificially, some people will be able to do 30 minutes just like that. Others will be struggling for 30 seconds consistently for a longer time trying to find that rhythm, but you probably haven't lost as much fitness as you think you have, which means you're going to get right back into this rhythm faster than you think you will. The question is not about like how dangerous can 30 minutes be, but rather how frustrated am I going to get while I find what 140 is for me right now that I can sustain over 30 minutes without overshooting and walking a lot. I have a lot of feelings about a lot of things, but any guidance I'm going to give you really needs to come from in here, from cues for your own body, much more so than cues from your watch, because what we really want to do is get away from the watch giving you cues and your body giving you everything that you need, so that someday, if you're in a race situation, you can read your body and read its signs without trying to make them up by looking at a watch. And you'll find that when that day comes, you're going to run a lot faster and a lot better in a race situation than you ever have before. So, and if you never run another race, great. You're going to be here that much longer because you're going to be able to listen to your body and respect its wishes. So now moving on to, I'm going to grab that comment very quickly. Yay, you're welcome, Erna Barry Nason. Thank you for being here. Yay, you. Moving on to, that was moving into rebuild. Coach MK and other coaches, thank you for all you do in the fitness protection program and beyond. You inspire me to also use my voice. Will slow burn be offered again in 2020? I loved it in the winter and when I did the strength only as I was recovering from an injury, and I'd like to do the strength again. I had been planning to start it in September, and somehow September is like the day after tomorrow, and I'm like, ugh. So, and seriously though, I had planned on offering it the Monday after not the Monday after Labor Day, sorry, Labor Day Monday, which I think is September the 8th. So a start of September the 9th. I'm going to send an email out after this broadcast to that effect, seeing if everybody else would like to start it then. I've been getting a lot of pings about wanting to delay it until October. And if that's the case, we'll do that. But we'll go ahead and put everyone back in the Facebook group and just let y'all hang out and go ahead and get started and practicing on, I don't know, maybe building the base strength you need to be able to do. I am so behind in my strength, you guys. If you're ahead, amazing for you. But if you want a couple weeks to sort of like hang out there and lead it and try to get ready for it, cool. Let's get the gang back together and decide when we're going to start. But yes, I do plan to offer it again this year. Obviously, when we rolled it out, we had no idea how this year was going to go. And I do not know how it's already September, but wow, it's almost September. So let's decide if we're going to start it not this week, but the following week, or if we're going to wait 3 more weeks after that for October. I'm completely indifferent, but we'll also double check with the coaches. And thank you. I'm glad to know that someone sees what I do and is not totally repulsed. Final question is in maintain. Then I get to run back downstairs and Mom's so hard. I can't wait. Not a question, but more of a thank you. Situation update. Made 2 small modifications this week with great success. Switched to a pair of kicks that were less fabric, more summer. The ons I had were totally for winter. They were great big sponges of clam chowder. I know, ew, but it's accurate. Also got a pair of those 5-finger and gingy toe socks. Did a beach run, and the toe stoop was much less than last week. Irritation and blisters on the piggies was a lot better too. Thanks. You're welcome. I'm so glad to hear that. There was a and I'm glad you figured out you were able to have a better experience than I did, because before 5-toed socks were a thing, we would buy toe caps. That was literally what they were called, toe caps. They were silicone, and this was the best option for trail runners in 2003, 2004. And they were little silicone things that you would put on alternating toes. So they would be on my 2nd toe and my 4th toe, and they were awful. Like, every other toe would be just fine. I wouldn't get blisters anywhere except underneath the toe caps on. So instead of having blisters all over your foot, I would have blisters only on 4 toes. So it was better, but it was still pretty effing far from good because they would slide around your feet. And just imagine that silicone on your toe. Ew. Plus, if we were running a lot and running really long distances, so it's every bit as nasty as you're thinking right now. It was worse. Take that, like, exponentially worse. So I'm really glad that you have more options now in 2020 than we had in 2003. Tell you how good you got it, kids. You have no idea how good you got it. That is all that we have for this week. Glad you're having a better week, Dan. I'm glad Christine is having a better experience. And so I really hope that you guys go back and listen to her story a little bit and take some of that away. It is very frustrating. Like this pandemic, how long is it going to go? I don't know. And are we going to have to do this again? I don't know. When are we going to be able to race again? I don't know. When are kids going back to school? With so many unknowns, and I know to most of us, not all of us, but I'm married to one of y'all and I love him more than anything. Not being able to plan, it's sort of like punching him in the balls and the face simultaneously. And for a lot of us, it's really painful and equally disconcerting. At the same time, the way we're going to get through that, plans are what give you a sense of control most of the time, when life, in fact, isn't really in your control at all. We can't control the weather. We can only control how we respond. We can't control whether or not our kids are going to get sick. We can only control how we're going to react to it when we find out that our day is going to have to be canceled. So I tell you that to tell you this. Uncertainty is not new. It's just something you're having to deal with now. A lot of us are having to deal with. And our coping mechanisms have been stripped away from us. What remains is an opportunity for you to find something new, something maybe you didn't know you had, something that Christine was able to go find for herself over the past few months, and look where she is now. I could not be more excited. I could not be more proud. And what she has is what I want for each and every one of you, all of which the keys and the tools are at your fingertips with what we offer here at the Fitness Protection Program. Please don't give up no matter how frustrated you get. Throw it in the chats with me. I can tell you how frustrated I get too. Others can as well. Finally, here's one more idea. If you're watching this now, let me know what you think of it. Since so many of us are now working from home and our days are a little bit off, there have been some requests for the types of scheduling that we did with Nakia, which in the I'm sorry, not Nakia, with Dahlia Kinsey, the school nutrition dietitian, the Body Liberation RD. We would do talks every Tuesday afternoon about something, whatever we felt like talking about that day. And we were thinking of reintroducing those on a limited series basis. If that is something that sounds interesting to you, do let us know and we can start getting this on the calendar and working on some programming. So tell us what you want, what you really, really want. We'll see what else we can add into our schedule for the winter while all this uncertainty continues. I can't make it better, but I can distract you. And I'm here for your entertainment and to show off really fun earrings, as usual, courtesy of Cocotte Design. Thanks, guys. I will see you next week, maybe even sooner. Who knows?